Yo, just checking something out. I'm about to put y'all on up on something. Cause like, you know how like you go to church and you know, depending on what church you go to, like it's different stuff going on, like different expressions of worship and praise. So I was reading this book. It's a pretty good book too. It's called Caste and Class in the Southern Towns by John Dollard. But it has certain quotes in it. It has certain quotes in the book from references from other books, I should say. And it's talking about, this is basically talking about what they called Negroes back then, but American blacks and how they was worshiping. So he's like, it says Negroes in the United States are Christians, yet it is possible to see among certain groups of them expressions of Christian worship that are unknown in Europe. The songs of Negroes, especially, the songs of the American Negroes, the spirituals, have long been thought of as African, though there are many today who hold that these are merely borrowings of well-known European hymns. Whether or not these represent in their imagery simply borrowings or have taken on accretions, the place of the song in the religious service and its accompaniment by hand clapping, tapping the feet, the instruments of percussion, such as the tambourine, do not partake of European religious cultural behavior. So basically saying that this is something that they didn't bring over from Europe, that they wasn't doing in Europe, that in inviting African Americans or Negro Americans, inviting them into Christianity here, these practices that African Americans were doing in the churches here, such as where the songs were, how they placed these spirituals in the religious services, through the religious services, the hand clapping, feet tapping, the percussions, the tambourines and such. That was something that Europeans had never did over in Europe. So that's something that Africans actually brought to the church with them. And it says spirit possession, and it has a parentheses, by the Holy Ghost, manifested through dances, shouts, in which the motor behavior is clearly African, is found in some Negro churches. While among these shouting sects, the communion service partakes largely in both psychological implications and outward ritual of very different elements than are found to mark the corresponding rite in white churches. And that's M.J. Herskovitz, Social History of the Negro, a handbook of social psychology, and it was edited by C. Murchison in 1935, quoted by permission of the Clark University Press. But they have something in African societies that might quote the tongues. What they call czar is a term used to describe a form of spirit possession common in Northern Africa, Eastern African, and Southern Middle Eastern societies. Czar is often associated with discomfort or illness and is typically considered a lifelong possession. Like how they say you are born in a sin. So this is something that folks would struggle with. Some people would struggle with a possession their whole life. Czar rituals are a way to reconcile the spirit and the possessed person, and are similar to other African traditional religions like Voodoo. So, I say all of that to say that, you know, a lot of people are, I feel, when they go to these churches and you see some of the stuff that, you know, ways that folks worship, they are exemplifying something that they may have lost. And I was looking up something as well connected to Czar, what they call cultural bound syndrome, where there were certain illnesses, mental illnesses, whatever, that you could associate autonomously to certain tribes just based off of history and culture that may have caused certain pathologies. So I say that because I feel that the African American in the United States is like struggling for identity, and not only that, struggling to express something that is residual, that was lost in regards to culture, but that's residual, and so you can see it manifesting through other ways like Christianity, and to gain that cultural esteem. And this is another reference in this book where it talks about what the benefits were in regards to, you know, some of these black folks, why they were, you know, what they got out of the church, where it says the opportunity found in the Negro church to be recognized and to be somebody has stimulated the pride and preserved the self-respect of many Negroes who would have been entirely beaten by life and possibly completely submerged. Everyone wants to receive recognition and feel that he is appreciated. The Negro church has supplied this need. A truck driver of average or more than ordinary qualities becomes the chairman of the deacon board. A hotel man of some ability is the superintendent of the Sunday school church, of a rather important church. A woman who would hardly be noticed socially or otherwise becomes a leading woman in the missionary society. A girl of little training and less opportunity for training gets the chance to become the leading soprano in the choir of a great church. These people receive little or no recognition on their daily jobs. And that's Benjamin E. Mays and Joseph W. Nicholson, The Negroes Church. That was New York, 1933, page 81. And that's quoted by permission of Harper and Bros. But when you look at what esteem black folks, African Americans, Negro, what they got out of the church, you can see what they were missing. That esteem that they got from culture, that we got from culture, we can tell that it was something that we had lost, that those identities were directly connected to our self-esteem and how we felt about our community in general. Yeah. So, yeah, I was just, you know, I wanted to share that. I was, you know, doing a little research, and, you know, I've been to church a few times, you know, this past couple of weeks, and I just noticed, you know, that some of these personalities within the church scream African or scream wanting to express something that is indigenous or tribal, and you can see it still spiritual, but, you know, wanting to resonate something that is more innate within themselves, more within their morphic fields of resonance. But that's it. We're gonna cut it at that.